All right, hi folks there. I'm going to attempt to do my best to do a little parts analysis on this, my new, it's not new to a lot of people because it's been out for many years, but it's new to me. And I've been wanting one for a little while, maybe the last couple of years, and I just didn't do it because I've got a lot of other knives that I've collected and they just sit on my desk, and I feel bad about spending the amount of money that some of these knives cost and not using them and just keeping them as little desk trophies. But anyways, I got this knife and hopefully I will carry it a lot more. I've gone through phases where I carry and a lot and then I don't, and so I need to, since I don't carry my firearm with me as much, I need to start carrying my knife, and that would be a deterrent in itself if I got into a sticky situation. But anyways, what I'm going to do today, there's a million of these reviews, so I'm not trying to replace any of the excellent reviews out there. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it apart. I just got it today. I'm going to take it apart and clean everything. I mean, that's been done too, plenty of videos, but there's a little, I'm going to check and see if there's a bushing in there in one of the scales that I'm going to try to pop it out, and then I'm going to polish that scale. So as far as I know, I'm going a little bit deeper in trying to smooth up the action, and by polishing that little washer, metal washer in there that the bearing rides on, in the addition of cleaning the oil and then re-oiling it and just cleaning things up, maybe that'll even improve the feel and the action of this knife even more. So that's what I'm going to do today. So let's jump into it. All right, so I'm going to use my little, this is what I've used for many years. It's the tiny, let's see what they call it, the tiny turner. I've had a couple of these. It's just a neat little screwdriver, and it has a bunch of different small bits that fit a lot of knives, the hardware on knives, and they appear to be hardened, so you don't strip them out. And this seems to be a pretty quality little tool, and it's made by, let's see if you can see that. But this is the tool I'm using today if anyone wants to know, if they're interested. So I'm going to just remove my pivot. And I'm probably going to need, because that is spinning, so I'm going to need to get another tool on the other side. So I had to go out to the garage and get a big boy tool, one of my Craftsman, and luckily I had a second one so that I can, take one off and reverse the other. So we're going to do that right now. Definitely on there with Loctite. Okay, so there's the pivot screw. Guess that's going to have to be pushed out. Push the blade partially open. Put that over here, and then I will take these the back screws out. Makes it a little bit smaller. All right, so now we're going to take out the back screws. I pre-loosened them up a little bit because they were a little bit tight to get out. Just broke them loose. There's one. These are the back spacer, or let me see, what do they call them? Back spacers, or I don't know. We'll just call them. They hold the scales apart in the back. So there's the screws. And then we should be able to pull that off. Oops. So there's bearing number 1. There's the blade. There's bearing number 2, and I'm going to remember this was on the right. This one was on the left as far as the blade being forward. So help me remember that. And it's on video so I can remember. So we're going to put this right over here. This goes over here. So here in this little spot is the washer. I mean, it's pretty smooth now, but I will put it on a little emery board. An emery board is a little stick that women use, and it's got different grits, you know, fine grits, and it'll actually polish that up. And then I can even take some real good polish that I have and run that over a cloth, you know, put it on the cloth and run that over the cloth that has impregnated with the polish. And I mean, I don't know how much that'll add. This is pretty shiny to begin with, but I'm going to go ahead and do it since I have the knife open. All right, so here are two emery boards. That's what I call them. They're just help shine your fingernails. It's not the most aggressive, so there's a number 2 and a number 3. So this is the finest, and this is the medium, number 2. Number 1 is the roughest. So I'm going to attempt to use number 3. And you don't want to remove much from this, I mean, like a washer, I mean, or a guide here that the bearing seats on, a bearing, you know, component. So I'm going to just polish that up. You don't want to remove because it's already super thin. And so I'm just going to attempt to polish it up. Just FYI, how I polish that is I lay that down on a flat surface. I put that on my fingertip, and I just put pressure down on it, and I just rub it back and forth. And while it's on a flat surface, and that'll help polish it up. Then, you know, you can put a towel down, or you can put on the polish, and then just do the same thing. Just rub it with the polish, and hopefully it'll polish it up nice and smooth. But that's how that works. That's what I'm doing now. All right, does that look any more shiny? I think it does. I don't know if it's blown out with my little screen on my camera, but it looks to be more polished, more smooth. What we're just trying to do is make sure that's really flat, and the ball bearings are going to roll across that with just minimal effort. If it was rough and more, you know, more rough with little divots and more texture, then the bearings would not spin around that as easily. So we're just smoothing that up. That's the gist of what I'm doing. Okay, so just to put it back in, make sure you put it back into the scales where you polished it up. This is my own proprietary oil that I've come up with, mixing some different oils that I like. I'm just going to put a dab of oil in there so that it holds that the bushing in there so it doesn't fall out. I polished it up with some polish. I don't want to get my greasy fingers on it. All right, so there we go. All this stuff is really small. So I'm not going to put alcohol and clean any of this, but I am going to put some lubrication on the little bearings. Crazy how expensive this little knife is. I paid more for it now in 2021 or 2022, excuse me, wrong year, 2022. This is just the very beginning of March, so I'm embarrassed to say because this used to be like 180. It's the carbon fiber, so I paid $216, but that was free shipping and no tax. So now it's like $195 on Amazon, but when you pay tax and shipping, you know, but even if you don't pay shipping, you're going to pay maybe a little bit more with just tax. So I think it is what it is. So we're going to put that back on. I'm going to lube up the other bearing. I think to make it even smoother would be to polish up just around where this bearing is going to fit on there, because this black DLC coating, I think, that's on the liner has a little bit of bumpy texture to it, even though we may not be able to feel it on a microscopic or, you know, zoomed in level. You would see that it's, you know, it's rough, you know, it's like very, very fine sandpaper. So the bearings are rolling across that, but over time the bearings will, you know, make their little groove. I mean, it's only been opened by me probably 10 times, and you can see the little circle where the little bearings have, you know, twisted around. And so just think about that. So I'm going to put plenty of oil on there. Put that on. Put a little oil around both sides. Put a little oil on the detent and around that, the travels. Trying to be real careful. Sorry, my fingers get a little sweaty. Right this second, I'm not going to put Loctite on it, but I can go back and do that. I'm just going to get it back together for now. Thanks for hanging in there with me. Trying to make this video simple. Let's see here, hopefully. I need to go ahead and tighten the pivot down. Okay, so now I've got everything tightened down. Got the pivot tightened down, not too tight. I've got the rear two screws tightened down. I will say that from flicking it open a couple times, I haven't opened this a whole bunch, you know, back and forth fidgeting with it, but it feels a little bit smoother, just a little marginal. It might be my special mix of oil. It could be that. I didn't clean anything with any alcohol. And it will get easier, even easier over time as that wears in. But I didn't mess up centering. The centering still looks perfect. And I'm glad that I watched videos on it, because it has this lock bar and it's very easy when you open it, because it's not a big knife. It's actually smaller than what I thought. I mean, I could stand this knife to be another 1/2 inch and it would be perfect. And so, you know, the bigger brother of this might be the better knife for me. I love this knife. I mean, it looks really cool. It's very light. It's very functional. But I wish it was just a little bit longer, you know, in comparison to, you know, a Shaman, Spyderco Shaman. And this is really good size for me. You know, or that's not the Shaman, that's the Bradley too. Excuse me, I was looking at the Spyderco Shaman, and here's the Spyderco Shaman in the G10. So about another 1/2 inch, and both that and the Gale Bradley 2, hopefully that's in my video there. One's further away from the camera, so it may appear smaller or whatever angle it is. But the Bradley 2 and the Shaman are very close, a little bit longer on this one, but this one is definitely about a 1/2 inch shorter blade. Not a big deal. You know, it is what it is. or this Spyderco right here. This is one of my favorite with the I gotta remember what this one's called. Why can I not remember what this one's called? The Capara. And this is the another Spyderco. I didn't really like Spydercos for a long time, and then I bought some more, sold the ones I wasn't necessarily a big fan of, and then bought these three, and these three are just killer, stellar, amazing knives. These all three knives, the Bradley, the Capara, the Bradley 2, and the Shaman, are amazing knives. Excellent handles, you know, G10 and carbon fiber on the two other ones. They were all just incredibly sharp. The ZT is incredibly sharp too. It is it is really, really sharp. So that is always a bonus, getting a really sharp blade, because I don't have a $500 sharpening machine, you know. I have, like a $50 one, and I'm not, super stoked on, using an inferior sharpener on something. So I would tend to send in or send off to someone, that has the, $500 sharpener to sharpen any one of these three Spydercos or this ZT. I don't think I would touch them with my sharpener. But I just wanted to share. These are about my perfect size, so just a little small on the ZT, but doesn't change that it's an excellent knife, and I'm glad to have it. But centering, like I said, is really, really good. I didn't screw that up. I don't know if you'll be able to see that precisely. Everything looks good. I mean, it's a little bit smaller knife and easier to carry, and I'll see about what I can do about getting maybe a deep carry pocket clip. It's not the highest priority on my list, but who knows. But anyways, a cool knife. Make sure my finger's not on. Oh, that's what I was gonna tell you. The finger on the lock bar is really, really easy to do since it's such a small knife. And I could see if I didn't watch the videos that I watched, that it would be very easy to have your finger on the lock bar and you struggle to open it. But as long as you put your finger on maybe the the clip right there and hold that. Let me make sure I'm. So very cool. But that's my video. Thanks for watching. Hopefully that gave someone an idea that they might want to polish their little spacer that's in there on this side. I think is what it was. Little silver washer. You got to be really careful with it because it is really thin and really small. But I think it was worth it. So have fun making videos too. So have a good day, good night, wherever you are. And thanks for viewing. All right. Bye-bye.